Imagine coming home after serving your country to find the battle isn't really over. My guests today know exactly how that feels. Renee Boudreau did tours in Bosnia, Croatia, and former Yugoslavia. When she got home, she was diagnosed with PTSD and major depressive disorder. After almost losing everything and attempting suicide several times, she was able to get treatment. Now she tries to bring hope to others suffering with PTSD. I also have Medrick Cousineau with me today. He suffered with PTSD for more than 2 decades before he found a 4-legged savior in his service dog, Ty. Last year, he walked from Halifax to Ottawa to raise money to provide other vets with service dogs to help them to deal with PTSD. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
So first of all, I'd like to start, Medrick, with you. For those of us who don't know or haven't experienced what PTSD feels like, can you tell us what does it feel like?
PTSD is like an 800-pound gorilla that doesn't go away, and it's got a lot of different aspects to it, and at any moment your life can go from being what would be considered to be under control to out of control almost in the snap of a finger. Things like depression, anxiety, panic, anger management, night terrors, addictions issues, they're all part of the sort of gamut of things, and most people who have PTSD suffer from 3 of that list.
And so who should be responsible for helping vets deal with that?
In my world, it's really simple. If we send them, we must mend them. So the government sent us, so it's their problem. They should be dealing with it.
Renee, do you feel like the government is dealing with it?
I feel that they are now. In my earlier years when I was diagnosed and when I was released in 2002, I feel that I didn't get the help I needed, and I just kept on getting transferred from therapist to therapist, and I was over-medicated, and my world just turned completely upside down. Like you said, I lost everything, and now I have a good case manager, and the government is helping me.
So what could they have done when you first began to really struggle with the aftermath of what you dealt with? What could they have done to have better supported you?
I could have had better therapists and perhaps even in-hospital treatment to actually do a little bit of surveying of my symptoms, because you go, you can't sleep, you have nightmares, and you're given all sorts of medications, and you walk around like a zombie not knowing what's going on, so it's very easy to lose track of your life and to fall into addictions that way.
But now you feel that they're doing a better job of that?
Yes.
So recently in the media we've seen a lot about several vets have come home and ended up committing suicide. Why do you feel that they feel so hopeless?
Because you tend to lose everything. I mean, I'd lost my license, my car, my house, my children. I lost everything. I had 4 serious suicide attempts. I was in the ICU. I didn't want to live, and my whole purpose was, to get in as dangerous situations as I could, not to live. And I guess that kind of stems from going to war and being in that danger. You kind of take that attitude home with you. And it's quite a scary thing when I look back on it now, because I wouldn't put myself in that position anymore.
So when you came home, Medrick, did you have the same experience?
When I got hurt in 1986, they really didn't know what to do with me. If you think about the time frame, we're 35 years post-Korea. Most of the medical establishment within the military had long since moved on that would have had experiences with that. They just really didn't know what to do with me, and it led me to some places that, just like Renee said, that I really don't want to ever go back and revisit again.
So what could they have done at that time that would have helped you begin to recover quicker?
Well, I think back then it was a huge acknowledgement issue right from the word go. Formally as a diagnosis, PTSD came into the DSM-IV in 1985, and I got diagnosed in 1986. So, there really was a lack of awareness of how complex the injury was and what kind of things would and wouldn't be done. And in fact, some of the things that they did back then, they now have figured out are really contraindicated for helping people with PTSD. So, you know, I'm lucky to be alive, and you know, hopefully my story of hope will help others, because that's probably the most important thing that needs to happen, is for the, you know, the people that are struggling to realize that there is hope.
So you've both credited getting proper help to helping to begin that recovery process. The government has recently talked about closing Veterans Affairs offices, quite a few in the Atlantic provinces. Do you think that that's going to affect the recovery process for other vets?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. The numbers are approximately 17,000 case files are going to get transferred out of the 9 offices that are closing, with no incremental increase in those other offices. You know, it's unfathomable to figure out that the service delivery will not suffer. And when you have somebody who's in acute crisis with PTSD, you know, time is important. You know, a matter of days doesn't cut it when some of these people need help in a matter of hours.
Just one more quick question before I let you go. What is the #1 thing that the government can be doing better right now?
In my world, I think they have to step up with the funding. You know, both within the military structure, they are desperately overworked and underfunded, and the same sort of problems are happening in Veterans Affairs. And whenever you have those kind of situations, you know, people are going to fall through the cracks, and when they do, you know, sadly, we see what the suicide statistics are.
Yes, and I think a better transition from the military to civilian life would help. If we had a little bit more help there, it would help us from falling between cracks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm afraid that's all the time I have today. I'd like to thank Renee and Medrick for joining me. Now back to Katie and Sean.